Hello, I'm Kristen Gooding's grandmother. My name is Paulette Gooding, and I was born in 1946, and I am 71. I'll be 72 in a few weeks.
All right, where were you born and where
And I
were
was
you
born
raised?
in Brooklyn, New York,
Where were you raised?
and raised in Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
All right. So, where did you live and how old were you during the Civil Rights Movement?
Okay, during the Civil Rights Movement, like I said, I was raised in Williamsburg. Williamsburg was a white community, and I lived on the borderline between the Italian side and the Jewish side. All of my friends through elementary school were white. There was 7 children in my family. 5 of us were in school at the time.
Okay.
And this was during the 60s.
All right. How do you remember the movement affecting your education?
It affected my education in the way that, like I said, lived in a white community, so therefore the school that I went to was white. I had no problem with being ostracized or people calling me names. I fitted in. I had white friends. I was their black friend. They came to my house. I went to their house. When integration came and they were desegregating the schools, they started busing children from other areas into my area to go to school.
Okay. What do you remember about segregation in your town?
Well, being in New York, it was nothing like it was in the South. And really, it was mostly what I saw on TV, except for, like I said, the school being diversified. And at that time, it kind of upset some parents having these kids from other communities come into the neighborhood. A little name calling was called in. The N-word started to be thrown around at that time. But I never felt it directly at me or my family.
Okay. Describe one good memory you have of this period of American history.
At that time, people were not so thin-skinned. I got along with my white friends, they got along with me. We didn't see color. Our parents didn't see color. I had white friends that came over to my house. I went to their house. I had one friend that lived in the building, and she spent the night at my house. It wasn't that separation like it is now.
All right. Describe one disturbing moment you have at this period of American history.
One disturbing moment was being in the park when they were building the Long Island Queens Expressway. And that was on Marcy Avenue. And at that time, they had just finished the park area, and they were starting to work on the highway. However, we were in the park, me and some girls, and one of them was there with their mother, and the mother had 2 little children playing in the sandbox. And they were throwing sand all over and getting themselves dirty. And the mother said, stop throwing the sand around, you're getting yourself dirty. They didn't stop. Finally, she said, she got so mad with them, she said, stop it. You're throwing all this dirt around. You're going to be black like a... And she said the N-word. The other girls that were with me were so upset. They were more upset than I were. They said, come on, Paula, let's leave the park. And we did. That was my first encounter, really, that hurt me with the N-word.
Okay. All right. Now here are some other questions I'd like to ask you. Did you ever see segregated bathrooms or water fountains when you were as a child?
No.
Okay. Okay.
Like I said, we didn't see that in New York, but I heard my parents talk about it because they were from Georgia.
Okay. Who were some people that you looked to for inspiration during those times?
Inspiration.
It doesn't have to be famous. Could be anybody that influenced you.
I would say my sixth grade teacher, Miss Hilson. My sixth grade teacher thought I was a phenomenon because I was very bright, and in the sixth grade, my reading level was 10.4. And she wanted to see my mother and my father. And she was so impressed that each one of my brothers and sisters, she requested to have in her sixth grade class when it was their turn. I was put in the special progress class, what they called the SP class at the time, which caused me to be skipped a grade. None of my other brothers and sisters were skipped, but she made sure she had them in her class. She had the 6-1 class, which was always the brighter class. And she made sure that she had my sisters and brothers, I guess because she wanted to make sure that we got the best that we could get, and she gave her best.
All right. Another question. Did you or anybody in your church or close family have any altercations, or violent altercations during the Civil Rights Movement?
No.
None at all? None you can remember?
Not that I can remember, but I remember hearing my parents talk, and I remember they came to New York in the early 40s. And I remember they came from Georgia, and I remember my mother saying that she was glad that her and my father left at an early age because my father would get into fights, and she had so many with the white kids, white boys rather, and she was always afraid that somebody was going to, a little kid fight would turn into him getting lynched. So she was glad to get out of the South when they did.
Okay. I'd like to ask you, where were you and how did you feel when you found out that segregation would be coming to an end?
Like I said, it was only after desegregation started and showing the things on TV that I was aware of how it was. Being in New York, I didn't face it firsthand like that. I didn't see it like that, like they did in the South.
Okay.
I wasn't part of the actual discrimination and the fights and the dogs being sicked on you and whatnot. No. I didn't have any, other than seeing it on TV and reading about it in the paper. No, I didn't know firsthand.
Okay. So what was your opinion, or how did you feel when you saw a certain discrimination going on television?
Oh, I felt very bad. And I was shocked because this was new to me. I heard my parents talk about how it was, but I had never seen it until I saw it on TV, especially when they were showing, George Wallace and the dogs being sicked and, just because of a person's skin, No, it was a rude awakening for me.
Okay. Final question. Did you ever try to join any organizations or groups that were against segregation and trying to put an end to it?
No, at the time, I didn't, and I regretted it because I've talked about it. Me and a few friends of mine, this was years ago, we talked about it because we were saying how they were going through all of that in the South, and we were just going to school, going to our parties, and having a good time. And yes, I regret that.
Okay, and this bonus question. How do you feel that today's world, 2018, has progressed from segregation?
I think we've progressed and regressed at the same time, because whereas people are more, I think people now show animosity a little more quickly than they did before, and they're not as tolerant. And I think with the rhetoric we get from Capitol Hill now, it sort of makes people more emboldened to do the wrong thing.
Okay. Thank you for your time. And just please state your name again, old age, and everything.
Paulette Gooding, and I am soon to be 72 years old.
All right. Thank you.